Hey, screw you guys. I'm just playing. My buddy was telling me all of the YouTube videos that he watches, they all start with, hey, what's going on? You know, how's it going? Stuff like that. And I've been doing that too. So when I saw him say that, I said, hey, just for you, I'm gonna start this video by saying screw you guys. So there was that. So welcome back to the channel. Again, been a while. I really need to get better about making videos, you know, on a set schedule more often, but you know, life gets in the way, start doing things and you forget about, you know, making videos. Been kind of busy. There's a fleet of crap. You can see the Suburban, this Money Pit WRX, about the TL, there's a bunch of stuff inside. Yeah, just been kind of busy, trying to reload some inventory on cars, trying to buy some, obviously sell some. This really nice Forester here. It's the ultra luxury 430. I'm gonna make a video on this car. I actually just sold it, but I'm gonna make a video before it gets picked up. Little Miata, needs a lot of work, but the video is not about all those cars. This will be like a continuation of that 300ZX video, that car. So the part of the reason why I haven't made a video in a while, I was waiting on the title. When I bought the car, I got it with no title. You know, I got the car, I got the keys, I got all the parts, but I was supposed to, you know, get the title afterwards, which I finally got. So after I got the title, I still didn't touch the car just because it was missing a bunch of parts. In the last video, you guys saw there was no bumper, there was no lights. There's some other miscellaneous parts that were missing. So I've been trying to get anything that I could get for this car, you know, from the previous owner essentially, so I could decide if the car is going to get put back together, if it's going to get fixed or whatnot, before I start really touching it. So in today's video, I'm gonna see if I can get this car fired up. Haven't touched it since I got it. It's literally been sitting in the same spot for the last, I don't know, 3 weeks, now 4 weeks, whenever the last video I made. I was gonna move it, but the tires were low and I started getting lazy of pumping air and trying to move it and all that stuff. So anyway, this is the video. That's what it's gonna be about, trying to get this car to at least fire up. Okay, so the first thing I'm gonna do, the battery in this car is completely dead. So I got another battery hooked up with jumper cables. The first thing I want to do is I just want to crank the engine over. Usually I would just take a socket and go in the crank bolt, but I think the crank bolt's like a 28mm or something, which I don't have on hand. So what I'm going to do, and I was going to pull the fuse for the fuel pump and just crank it over, but all of my labels on the fuse boxes are all faded. You can't see anything. Don't feel like looking online. So the easy thing to do is I'm gonna crank the car and I'm gonna keep the accelerator on the floor, you know, floored. And what that does is it prevents the fuel from getting flowed. So I just wanna crank the engine over, make sure, you know, it's not seized up or anything, and just try to get some oil flowing. That way I'm not dry starting the car, because like I said, this car hasn't been started in a year or two, I don't know. So that's the first thing I'm gonna do. So let's see how it goes. It's crammed in here. Not made for a tall guy with that seat position. That's better. All right, so let's see. Ignition on. Wow, well, it does light up. So I'm gonna put the accelerator to the floor and just crank this thing. Okay, so it does turn over. Don't know if you guys heard that, but that is a good sign. So it does turn over. It sounded somewhat okay. What I'm going to do now is, like I said, this car has been sitting. So this is the fuel filter. I'm going to take this line off. Now I just want to look inside, smell the fuel, make sure it's not all gelled up. You know, I don't want to, you know, I don't know if it's going to be clogged or what. So I want to just pull that line off and see if there's any fluid, if it smells like gas. You know, when I put the ignition on at first before I, floored it and cranked the car, I did hear a pump. So, I was fearing that a pump is gonna be dead, but I did hear a pump. So, let me go ahead and pull that line, and we'll see how it looks inside. Woo. Well, there's fuel pressure for sure, and it's not gelled up, so that's a good sign. All right, so you guys saw, I got the fuel line off and it sprayed a bunch of fuel in my face. Fuel looked good, it smelled good, it probably tasted fine. I did get that line back on, just tightened that back down. So the car has fuel, it has the power to start with extra battery now. It cranks over, it sounded like it had compression. I have the whole cooling system off, I have the intercoolers off, everything's still off, everything's just how I got the car. But I'm pretty sure the car should still fire with all that stuff off. Now, it might not idle well, we'll have a lot of issues. Obviously, no cooling system, I can't let it run for a while. But based on what I saw, I think, if the car runs, it should fire up. So I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna try to fire this thing up, and we'll see what happens. Try a little starting fluid, see if we can help it out. Let me open the throttle bodies, add more fluid in there. All right, so it fired up, which is awesome. I was trying to give it a little revs and stuff like that, but with no intake, no MAF, it's not gonna want to run well. So I'm thrilled that it fired up. I'm gonna spend a little bit of time with it right now. I'm gonna see if I could, get it to run a little nicer, and I'll see if this thing moves. And it's a good sign that the car started up. Engine sounded very healthy. Okay, so played around with the car. I got it to restart without the starting fluid. It just fired right back up. So that's a good sign. The fuel pump is working, obviously. I tried to get the car to move, and it would not move at all. Like it was doing nothing. I'd put it in first, release the clutch. I would, put it in any gear, reverse, whatever. It would not move. It wouldn't even try to move. So I was kind of curious why the hell that's not happening. And this is going to be hard for you guys to see. But I looked underneath the car. And I don't know if you guys could see. There's obviously some fluid on the ground. And I was like, man, I wonder why there's fluid on the ground. So I looked further up, and there's no drive shaft. So obviously the car's not going to move without a drive shaft. So I gotta see what the hell happened to the drive shaft. I gotta talk to the owner, talk to the last people that really saw this car, touched this car. see if they pull the drive shaft or where it is. That way, if I can get a drive shaft, I'm gonna see if I can get this car to drive, at least roll around here. If it does do that, I'm gonna start installing everything back on, the intercoolers, the radiator, stuff like that. And I'm gonna just try to drive it, down the block at least, just to see how everything is, how the brakes feel, stuff like that. And then it'll become the decision: do I part it, or do I find the donor car with a bunch of parts, interior? Do I repaint this? All that stuff. So, hey, the car fires up. I'm thrilled. I didn't know when I bought this car anything about it, if it's gonna fire or not, but started right up. It wasn't misfiring. Didn't even smoke too much. I mean, I smelled a little unburned fuel, obviously, and stuff like that, but didn't have a ton of white smoke or anything. So for how long has the car been sitting, that's pretty impressive. So I'll try to update more videos. I'm gonna see how long it takes me to find a drive shaft or talk to the owner, stuff like that. So I don't know if the next video is gonna be on the 300ZX. I will be putting a video up soon on this LS 430, a little review of the car, just of that chassis in general, maybe not that specific car. So I'm gonna try to post that next week, just trying my best to get more videos going. So I'll keep you guys posted, and we'll see what happens with the 300ZX. Thank you guys.